What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play Batman Arkham Asylum. In the last episode, we had just entered the penitentiary, and now we are going to go back on the hunt for the warden, Quincy Sharp, who was abducted by Harley Quinn at the end of the last episode, or towards the end, rather. He was taken straight out of his office, where we found that very cool Arkham City Easter egg. And here, it's too small. It's going to be the first riddle we're solving in the penitentiary. And this one is also about Scarface, who I didn't actually talk about the last time that he came up. And it might take me a second before I can talk about him again, because I'm pretty sure there it is. There's an interview tape.
Taped patient evaluation 5. Victor is not responding well to treatment. Victor, yesterday we spoke about the people you killed.
Ah, the zombies.
They are all people, Victor.
They are zombies. Continuously shuffling through the daily grind, waiting for someone to liberate them.
You mean, kill them. The police report states that you've murdered, or liberated, if you like, 20 young women in the last 3 months. Each had her throat slit and was left posed.
They were all lucky to be chosen to receive my gift.
I doubt they would agree with you.
Really? How about you, Miss Cassidy? As you take the elevator to your apartment each night, open the 6 locks to apartment 433. Remember you forgot to buy your cat food. Again.
How do you know
as
where
you sit down on your favorite red chair, cat on lap, just waiting for something to happen. I can make it happen, Sarah. I am your salvation.
Continuing to see Victor Zsasz just be crazy, liberating people from their empty lives by killing them. He seems to know a good deal about the good doctor back there. But let's move on to a more interesting character. We are once again passing by the riddle we just saw, the Tommy gun, the crux of that riddle. And we saw the dummy Scarface in the warden's office before. Didn't get a chance to talk about him, though, because there were a few more interesting things going on at the time. Can't go down there yet. Scarface is a little bit like Slappy from Night of the Living Dummy. He is a dummy made from the Blackgate Penitentiary gallows tree. And that tree got whittled down into a ventriloquist dummy, Scarface. And it houses the spirit of a mobster who was hung up there, and he partners with a villain who comes to be known as the ventriloquist. And I don't know if they still act like he's alive, but he has talked and moved on his own before, and there's been like 3 or 4 ventriloquists.
Stop, Batman, please! You've got to help my babies!
I'm really not interested in a bunch of flowers, Ivy.
They're in pain, crying for help!
Just stay where you are. Last thing I need is you running free.
Poor children.
You know, this is the first time I'm noticing it, but
I won't let
I'm pretty sure whoever it is who voices Poison Ivy also voiced Sniper Wolf back in Metal Gear Solid 1. That's a really cool connection. I never noticed that before. Not really a connection, I mean, it's just one voice actor voicing 2 different characters. It's not like Metal Gear Solid suddenly set in the same universe. God, this is a really cool Easter egg, too. Also, note the mannequin, note that this person who is allegedly Aaron Cash has no skeletal structure, and of course, the signage. Let's talk about that in a second. There's another cool Easter egg right up here. No, that's just a Riddler Trophy. I thought that's where the Easter egg was. Oh, well, I guess while we're here, we'll pick the Riddler Trophy up. Yeah, so the person patrolling around as if he was Aaron Cash with no skeletal structure is in fact Clayface. But more on that in a second.
Harley! Ah! You have to help me.
Ivy? Gee, you look like crap. Maybe I can sneak you some shampoo.
The plants, can't you hear them? They're crying about to be in agony.
Yeah, well, I really don't have time for this.
Please let me out. They'll die without me.
I don't know, Red. You're not on Mr. J's party list. Oh, well.
Please.
What the heck? I'll cut you a break.
That feels so much better.
She's a good kid.
I could watch those two all day. What a riot! And speaking of riots, here's a bit of civil unrest I cooked up just for you.
What are you... He's taken control of the security overrides. I have the sequence generator, but without the terminal in my office, it's useless.
Your terminal has been destroyed. Give me the sequencer.
What? Oh, yes, of course. It's useless. Half the code won't get you anywhere. We're trapped in here.
There's always a way out. Always.
And with that, we have yet another one of Batman's gadgets for the game. This one is the Cryptographic Sequencer. It's going to allow us to hack security systems and gates like the glowing ones that have been cropping up all over the place since the start of the game. And we do this by moving the left and right analog sticks around to match frequencies. It's pretty much a game of hot and cold when you're hacking security consoles. And there are two really handy upgrades for it, one of which makes it easier to hack with, and the other one, which I just picked up, increases the range of the sequencer, which we need for collectibles. Not sure if I'm going to be getting much mileage out of that, but still. Very useful to have anyway. This guy back here, we get a better look at him, but first, there's this over here, so we get a chance to use the Cryptographic Sequencer. Again. Just show off how this works a little bit. So yeah, you're moving the right and the left analog sticks until it lights up green. You'll also notice that you have it correct. You have the correct frequency when you feel the controller start to vibrate. So this guy over here, there's an interesting little story behind his placement here, because you notice he's modeled with much more detail and fidelity compared to some of the other random inmates we see lying around. He's a much more unique model. And that is because, I'm trying to remember his name. I think his name is Luke Oliver. He's modeled after a guy who won a contest to be modeled in the game. And coming up, yeah, there he is. So along with getting the Cryptographic Sequencer, all of the most dangerous inmates, the most crazed inmates, were released, and we now have to deal with lunatic enemies.
Surprise! You know, Bats, I always thought there was a spark between us. Well, now there is. I know, you're shocked. Come and get me, Bats. I double dare ya.
Alright, so Harley Quinn has turned the electricity on for the floor, so priority number one is getting the electricity turned off. Oh, you gotta make sure this guy doesn't pull a gun out of the cabinet. There's a... On the diagonal opposite side, there's another cabinet with a gun that I have to stay aware of, because there he has a gun. He's got the gun and shooting the bullets, so it's not good. Oh, he's got a gun too. Damn it, they both pulled guns out of the cabinets. Harley Quinn, why do you store guns in the cabinets? The children can get them there. Alright, just pick these dudes up. So the cool thing about Clayface back there is when you see him, he can take the form of numerous different characters from the game. He can take the form of Aaron Cash. I think he can take the form of the Warden, Quincy Sharp, and maybe a few others aside from that. And if you leave and come back, he'll usually assume a different form. And then there's all this stuff with You can figure out what's going on if you go into detective mode, even if you ignore the big sign that says, please don't believe his lies, or whatever the warning sign on next to his cell said. And it's one of the cooler nods to a character. It's a pretty overt one, but I like that. Now, as for Clayface himself, there have been like a dozen Clayfaces. The handling of that character has been ridiculous. I'm not exaggerating either. It might not quite be a dozen, but there are a lot of them. So the original Clayface was just a really pissed off actor turned attempted murderer, and later they started introducing other Clayfaces who actually got the iconic shape-shifting, melting body kind of powers, and all the different Clayfaces have had slightly different variations of that power in various different forms. And the original Clayface eventually teams up with the later ones who have the powers, and he sneakily gets a blood transfusion from a few of them. And that's how the original one winds up with the Clayface powers, and then he just goes around absorbing other Clayfaces. And then there's another Clayface who is the love child of two of the Clayfaces. It is exactly as big of a fucking mess as it sounds, but he usually gets put in the middle of some really fun stories, and he's a fun character to boot, so you forgive how sloppy they handle him. Oh, and the bio for Clayface in this game talks about Basil Carlo, who is the first Clayface, even though this one in the game has to be Preston Payne, because I pointed out that mannequin in his cell. Preston Payne is notably married to a mannequin. But yeah, that is Clayface in a nutshell. Or at least Clayfaces, because there are like 10 of them. Slowly downgrading that number from 12 to 10. I think it might actually be less than 10. I don't think they've hit double digits yet. I know that every time they get close to having 4 running around at the same time, they kill one off, because can't have that many at a time. Oh. That continuity's a mess. Oh no! I didn't hit him with the Batarang. So now we can really see this new enemy type in action. These guys are known as lunatics. They charge headlong at you and they latch onto your back and they will slowly drain your health. Ah, this is Calendar Man's room. Calendar Man's gimmick, his gimmick is that he commits holiday-themed crimes on specific holidays. And he is viewed in-universe as a joke character, even though he's kind of just a straight-up murderer. He's not really that much of a joke. As far as villains in the Batman universe go, like Penny Plunderer, joke character. He, however, is plagued with one of the worst costumes of all time in all of comic book history. It's like a bright red onesie covered in calendar pages for a cloak. Also, Batman villains tend to have really ham-fisted, punny names that say something about their gimmick, or their names, their names are usually some kind of pun, like Harleen Quinzel is Harley Quinn, which itself is based on the word Harlequin. The Riddler's name is Edward Nigma, Enigma. Jane Doe, remember the Face Stealer, is a play on what unidentified bodies are called, stuff like that. Calendar Man's is the most ham-fisted of all of them, and that makes it great and campy. His name is Julian Gregory Day. Julian calendar, Gregorian calendar, days of the week. I love it. I just wish they took him to the logical extreme and had him commit murders with calendar pages. Give people lethal paper cuts, something really stupid like that. Like Calendar Man has someone tied up, prone to a table, and overhead you hear whoosh, whoosh. And the camera pans up slowly and dramatically, and overhead, swinging lower and lower, is a pendulum blade. And it's made out of paper.
Oh, and now you have only 30 seconds to get out. Bye-bye.
Kind of try to stop talking over Harley Quinn's short little dialogue moments. They're not full-blown cutscenes. They're just kind of expository sequences. Very, very light ones. Don't feel too bad talking over them. And the sequence we just had to complete was pretty simple. Just had to rescue 2 guards.
Oh, I thought we were both gonna die in there.
You're safe now.
You going after that crazy witch? I saw her heading out of the door as we got out of the room.
She won't get away. I'll stop her and then her boyfriend.
Good. Listen, I'll go try and get the ventilation system working. If you find her, don't go easy on her. For me.
And that is going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one. We will pick up with the rest of the Penitentiary in the next episode.
See him?